Charity Nyariki. I am the acting Registrar of Societies. Our mandate is registration of services. These include churches, welfare associations, family welfare associations, residential associations. Basically that we used to register foundations, but that mandate has now been moved to the NGO board. The act that we use, CAP 108, Societies Act, it came into operation in 1968. So with the emerging challenges and gaps and here and there was need to review the act to take care of all the challenges that we have observed over time. We needed to regulate churches. As we were coming up with the review, the churches were up in arms that they did not want a regulation. For instance, there was to be a requirement that for you to register a church, you must have a training in theology. And for the churches, they felt that this was not necessary. It is a vision, it's an inspiration from God, and they don't need that requirement. The procedure is that first you come up with a name for your family, the what you'd like the welfare known as. So we prefer that you come up with at least 3 names. You do a letter. The request for name search or reservation is by way of a letter in writing and preferably typed. We don't accept handwritten applications. You bring it to us, and then we check our database whether that name is available. If the name is available, now we tell you you can proceed to use this name. If the 3 are available, it's upon you. You choose any of the 3 names, and then you go to our website. You download the sample constitution. We have a sample constitution which sets out the mandatory and the basics that must be in your constitution. So you use that to prepare your constitution, and then you also download Form A and B. Form A basically has the membership, what you intend to do and all that, and Form B has the officials and their contacts. So you complete those 2 forms, attached to the constitution, the one you have done, together with the name search, what was approved. The objective should not be anything where you're going to need donor funding, because our welfare basically runs with the subscriptions. So we check on the objectives, we check on the committee, the composition of the committee, the quorum for the committee meetings, which should be 2/3, quorum for the annual general meetings, which is 2/3 again, and also for special general meetings, which is 1/3. We also confirm that you have a dispute resolution mechanism in your constitution, amendments, trustees, because as a welfare here, you will not be able to own property and all that. However, like a family welfare, they may want to come up with some development here and there. Then they need the trustees, and we don't deal with that. That is but you must provide for it in the constitution. Name search is free. Registration is 2,000 Kenya shillings. Once you pay, then we send it for vetting. Vetting is done by the National Intelligence Service. So we send it there, and if it goes through, then we now issue a certificate of registration. The process is not long, because all you need is to fill a form. get a surety, and then you bring the book or newspaper or magazine to us. If you're both the publisher and the printer, you pay 2,800, but if you are either just the printer or the publisher, then you pay 1,600. All they do is fill the form, surety, bring to us, swear an affidavit, and then they bring 3 copies. One copy is supposed to go to the archives, one to the library, and one we keep here. For the newspapers, once they've registered, they give us complimentary copies every day. For magazines, they're supposed to give us their copies. We face a lot of challenges, more so the disputes arising from churches, residential organizations, and cultural organizations such as Njuri Njeke. They have very, very serious disputes, and they come to us, and because our act is very old, sometimes our mandate is really limited. So once we do the arbitration or mediation and they're not happy, they go to court. The other challenge is filing of returns. Our stakeholders, the people who have registered societies here, don't take it seriously. They don't ensure that the officials sign, because as I said earlier, when registering an association or a society, you fill Form B. That acts as our sample signature of the officials. And when you have an election and you change, then we have Form H, which then gives us the change of officials. You find that I think they either use brokers, or I don't know, because more often than not you'll find returns that are filed without the proper signatures. And the other challenge is when one person is, one of the officials is deceased. The requirement is that you either bring a copy of the death certificate, if you can't find it, then a letter from the chief. Many societies are not able to comply with that. They will come and tell you, oh, you know, this was registered a long time ago. This person passed on, and we can't find the next of kin to give us a death certificate, especially churches, because they tell you, oh, you know, this person, even by the time he passed on, he had stopped worshipping in our church and all that. So, and you see, even for you to change officials, the minutes where the elections were held have to be signed by the previous officials, and the returns also. So they want change of officials, but we can't do that because one official is missing and they're not giving us the evidence. We have managed to do away with brokers, because brokers are the ones who are misleading the officials of societies. There were some fraudulent cases here and there, particularly in change of name and change of officials. When we change a name, we issue a fresh certificate, And when they bring this certificate, you find the certificate is not from here. And when you speak to them, of course, they say, oh, I met somebody who said it's possible. And yeah, so we have managed to do away with that. Then we've also managed, now there's a document we call confirmation, but for the general public, they call it a letter of introduction. Once you register a society, you want to open an account. And for you to open an account, you have to come to us for a letter of introduction, which officially we call a confirmation letter. Now we are able to issue this document within a day. If it doesn't go to the for vetting, you can actually be done by within a month or thereabout. Although our service charter says registration process takes 4 months, within 2 months you should be able to have your registration certificate. But there has been a challenge there that people register and then they don't come for their certificates. But what we have done, we have put this the ready certificates that are not collected. We have put that information out there in our website. The public needs to know that you have to file your returns every year. We accept returns from January to 31st of March every year. And the payment for returns depends on the membership. It ranges from 200 shillings to 1,000. 1,000 if is for membership above 1,000. And if your file is not up to date, we are not able to offer you any service. Like when you come and you want change of officials, we will not give you that service. You have to first be up to date. If you want a letter of introduction, anything, change of address, you must be up to date. Whenever there is a dispute between members of a society, a member will write or an official, and then we'll ask the other side to respond, and then we have a meeting. If we feel that the objectives of the society are no longer being met, then we issue a notice to deregister. We give you 60 days notice to deregister your society, a show cause as to why we should not deregister. So if you show cause, then we may not deregister, but if you show cause and we feel it is not satisfactory, then we would be constrained to deregister. Brokers have caused a lot of problems for us. These brokers mislead. They mislead people who want to register, who want our services. Registration, change of names, filing of returns. This issue with brokers is mostly with churches. When a pastor or a bishop comes and finds that what he thinks was registered as his church does not exist in our register. Our files have 2 numbers, the file number and the CR number. CR is certificate registration number. Now, when we want to ascertain whether really a file exists, we look at the CR. We go to our register. And you find that churches are registered under political parties because brokers took advantage. Initially, that was our mandate until it was moved to another agency. And so that time there was a moratorium. As I said, these moratoriums are there from time to time to deal with different challenges that we are facing with churches. So you find that when you go to the register, the church is registered as a political party. And when you tell the pastor, they are in shock. And that's when now the truth comes out. They actually tell you that, oh, tulikuja, tukaambiwa tunaweza kusaidiwa, and they paid some money. And when I ask, how much did you pay? You find that they paid 10,000, 20,000. Whereas, as I said, a church is under a society, and therefore registration is only 2,000. And even when they want to change a name of a church, they use brokers. For us, for you to bring for us the change of name, for us to accept and effect once you've met all the requirements, all you need is 200 shillings. But you'll find that the brokers will have asked for 10,000, 15,000. And I ask them when they come to our offices or any of our state council, I ask them, but why do you pay so much when the most fee you can pay in our office is 2,000, and that is a one-off during registration, and we are always here. Even when you are not sure, why not come and inquire? When we insist that if one official is deceased and they need to sign somewhere, then we get death certificates and we proceed and effect the changes. Then maybe shortly thereafter or a year later, we receive a complaint and the alleged deceased official has now resurrected. The official actually appears in our offices. And it's not a one-off. This happens a lot because it looks like they go and fake the death certificate and they actually do an affidavit. And even they go, I don't know whether they forge from the chief. So these days we insist that if you bring a letter from the chief, we want the number, because then we are able to call. And why we ask for contacts in Form B is so that, like, when you come and tell us somebody is deceased, because of the challenges we've had of deceased people resurrecting, then we call. And sometimes you call and somebody says, I haven't signed anything. Of course, you don't say you are dead. You just call and say, okay, so you know about this church. And yeah, they say, yes, I am a member, I am the secretary, I'm the treasurer. Then you realize, of course, then you ask them to come to the office.